Hey, in this demo, I'm going to be going over the Lifecycle Monitoring App. So first, let's go through how to navigate to this. So you can either navigate to the apps page here and choose Lifecycle Monitoring in this first corner, or you can just open up the left-hand tab and choose Lifecycle. We're going to go ahead and select it from the apps page and just let that open. From here, we have the homepage, which is just an overview. So in this one, we will actually bucket your lifecycle groups into one of three categories. So they will all either be considered active, inactive, or new. So the active folks are going to be your matured customers. They're no longer considered new, but they're still active with your brand. The inactive customers are those customers who have not been around in quite a while. This will be different for everyone. If you're interested in learning more about how these are bucketed or how these are determined, please reach out to your Coterra rep. And then the new customers are going to be those who are new to the brand. So they've made their first purchase recently or have recently signed on in some other way. Moving beyond the top level, we have the customer per segment chart. So this is going to show you how many customers per segment you have over, month over month. So you can see that the inactive bucket is growing and the new bucket is getting a little bit smaller for this demo data set. We move to the next section. We have the inactive customers, new customers, and active customer transition for the last 3 months. So we can see where people are going. Where were they 3 months ago and where are they now? So you see inactive customers tend to stay inactive. Some active customers do convert, and then some active customers don't. And similarly with new customers, many of them go straight to the inactive bucket. Finally, we have the transition chart. So this is going to show, are you losing or gaining more customers per month? So for comparison's sake, if we look at June 2023, there was a very high number of retained customers in the active bucket compared to the exited group. Alternatively, the following month in July, there were fewer retained customers and more exited. This is going to help you understand, those customers who aren't new to the bucket. Are they sticking around or are they leaving? You can feel free to tab between the active, inactive, and new customers and view this chart for all of those. And at the very bottom, we have a comparison chart to see the proportion. So we can see, like we described above, in June, the proportion of exited was lower, and then in July, that proportion creeped up again. So that's the first page. The last piece to note is that you can select different time periods. So right now we're looking at the past year, but if you wanted to compare 2 years or the max time period, or just a few months, you can do any of those by just selecting a different time period from the selector button. On the next tab, we have activity overview. On the activity overview, for this e-commerce example, we go over revenue, orders, and items. So this is going to be the previous month, so the most recent month compared to the month before that. So in the most recent month, there was $1 million in revenue, very similar, only down 4.73% from the previous month. Orders similarly, and items also similar, the very small amount of change. So then we can see total revenue per customer segment. So in this chart, we actually see all of the customers broken out into their respective groups. Instead of seeing active, inactive, and new, you see at risk, new, repeat, top, and top new. So these are going to be total revenue per month. We can see that repeat customers and new customers are competing for top amount of revenue, whereas at risk, top new, and top customers are bringing in less revenue. This is likely because these groups are smaller and they have fewer people in them. You can also see the share of revenue per cohort. So in this case, we have new customers making up a larger proportion, new and repeat making up the largest proportions, with top and top new being smaller proportions. Finally, at the bottom, we have average revenue per customer segment. So this is going to show you the average per person by customer segment. So in this case, we have top customers making up the max on average, which means that the top customers are spending more than the other customer groups. Despite making up a smaller amount of the total revenue, they are the highest spenders. If you want to view this dashboard from different perspectives, you can select through orders and items, and you can see the trends in a similar fashion across the other two metrics provided. Finally, let's go over one of the customer groups. So at the bottom here, we have top customers, repeat customers, at-risk customers, top new, lapsed, hibernating, and lost. If we think about the original view for active, this is going to be our top customers, our repeat customers, and our at-risk customers. The new customers are going to be top new, and the inactive are going to be the lapsed, hibernating, and lost customers. These lapsed, hibernating, and lost customers are inactive, as I said, meaning that they are not making any purchases and are not participating with the brand. So, the longer someone is inactive, the further down that row they will go. So a lapsed customer over time will become hibernating, and without intervention, they will then become lost. So let's jump into top customers, and let's go over the metrics that we provide on these pages. All right, on the top customer page, the total customers in segment is going to be represented in this left corner. This number is quite small. This is just a sample data set, so there aren't a ton of examples in here, but there are 132 from 128, meaning that customer group is growing over the past month. The total spend in segment is about $70,000 in the past month, and the total items are about 1,200. The next thing, we have another one of these transition charts that we saw on the first page. So let's see, so we can see, where are the top customers from 3 months ago? Where are they going now? We can see that they tend to stay top customers or move into the repeat bucket, which is a similar, just slightly less spendy group. And then at risk and lapsed are going to be the other options for those customers who are not continuing to purchase. Right, so these lapsed customers represent a significant lost revenue group, and the at risk of those customers we may want to intervene on and try to bring them back into the repeat or top customer fold. Then we have top customers per month. We saw a chart like this on the first page where you can see the retained and exited groups. Month over month, we can see that the number of folks exiting, meaning that they are kind of going down a level, is growing through May. And then June and July, relatively stable, and starting to finally go down in October, September. However, the proportion to retain is pretty high. So if we think about that original chart where we were comparing the proportions, that proportion is going to be quite high. And it's going to be about 50% of top customers are being lost. This represents an opportunity, not bad news. So our demo data set may have some success in the future. And then the last chart is customers in segment per month. So we can track how many top customers they've had over time. So you can see May 2023 was a really high point for top customers, and that has slowly declined since then. So that is a high-level overview of the Lifecycle dashboard. Please reach out if you have any questions or would like to see any additional information that isn't provided here. Thanks.